Well done. Congratulations to your team and to you and Nadeem for surviving that as well.
Yeah. We're in one piece. We're in one piece.
The All Blacks have made it to Australia. They left on Friday. They've been out and about seeing the sights of Melbourne, but they've taken a different team, a 33-man squad. Luke Jacobson has been recalled. No Ardie Savea. He's waiting on the birth of his third child. Shannon Frizzell, Patrick Tuipulotu, both injured as well, and a couple of players were left behind to play NPC rugby. What does this mean, JK? What do you read into some of these selections? And the big one, of course, Ardie Savea's not there. That's a starting spot up for grabs.
Oh, for me, I was just going, the last person I don't want to be there against Australia is Ardie Savea. He has probably been in the very best of form. You know, they say a champion is someone who steps up under pressure, and it's probably been the most pressure any of these All Blacks have been under in the last sort of 8 weeks, and he's been outstanding, Mills, and I think it's a huge loss. Not only what do you do now, do you go to your youngsters, do you go to Hoskins, do you change everything? Do you put a lock onto the loose forward? Not only does it create those, you're missing a guy that under pressure steps up.
Well, and he has done, you know, throughout this whole championship, even throughout the Irish series. You know, he's been a real leader. The guys have sort of turned to as well to really be consistent week in, week out. So it's going to be a massive headache, you know, for Ian Foster. So how does he fill that void? Because he brings something different. He brings that physicality, but he also brings sort of winning a big moment, whether it be over the ball, running, you know, how we've all seen him sort of run, you know, pumping those powerful legs, but also, you know, his defensive aspect. And not quite sure. I mean, he's way up there. I mean, how do you feel that? Luke Jacobson comes into the fold.
It's easy, you just go Blues. Yeah, you just go Blues, Mills. That's all you do.
Go on then. Just
Hoskins,
go Blues.
Tutu.
Dalton Popperley, all the options are there. Akira Ioane, they're all there, right? I think one of the biggest losses as well is Shannon Frizzell, because we've been searching for the performance from the blindside flanker, which has been consistent. Now, win or lose, he's done the exact same thing every game. Been a really good line-out target. He's carried the ball strongly. He's cleaned out hard and he's carried hard. The things that we weren't getting on a consistent basis. So I think we've got to look for that again. Where can we get that from? Is it Scott Barrett back to blindside flanker? And we've got to think about the challenge that we're going to have in front of us. It's not Argentina, it's the Wallabies. The Wallabies play nothing like Argentina. The Wallabies play nothing like South Africa. So it's which players in combination are going to be good enough to put the Wallabies under pressure. Now, you're thinking about the next guy, who's the next cab of the rank. We always talk about combinations.
Well, that's the problem. That's the problem. You lose two of your combination, which we've just started to build, right?
But you've given guys plenty of opportunity to understand.
No opportunity.
In the past. No. In the past, you've given Akira Ioane the opportunity. You did it last year. You gave him the chance to play blindside flanker, and he was successful against the Wallabies. There's no doubt about that. Hoskins Tutu showed he is good enough, and the way that he plays the game, I think it will suit playing against the Wallaby side. It's just who you believe and how you believe you're going to beat them. And I'd rather go size. I want to go up front, and I'm going to make Scott Barrett the blindside
no
flanker.
eye on the World Cup.
What's that?
There's no eye on the World Cup.
Absolutely. Because you know what? We don't play the same team every week. It changes, and it might change. We don't know who we're going to play in the quarterfinal, because we're going to get to the quarterfinal. It could be South Africa or it could be Ireland, right? Two vastly different teams.
So you're saying Scott Barrett...
have to play.
You're saying Scott Barrett is our next best...
Remember the last time he played at 6? And he started at 6?
Yeah.
Pretty sure we thumped Ireland in the very first test, right? When he put out that performance, he went to lock because he was...
So that's your choice, is it?
My choice is I'd like to see him go there. I think we bring Brodie Retallick. We make a marker with a young front row with more size. I tell you what, we take them on up front.
Who's 8?
Who's at 8?
You've got him.
No, he wants to say Blues.
He knows something, I can see.
I don't know anything.
Was someone else down at Ames?
You're clearly going to go with Hoskins Tutu.
Who are you going to?
You're clearly going to go with that.
Of course I am.
Yeah, I'm actually going to agree with you. I 100% think that he should be the guy.
I think I'd have to agree with Jeff in terms of, and also Hoskins at 8. I think what Ian Foster faces now, he's got to win the Bledisloe, all right? Yep. Okay, so he's now had a game where he's needed a settled side. He goes over to Melbourne. If he can keep that same team, which I think he possibly will. I think he has to keep that same team that won against, you know, in that last test against Argentina, and build that, albeit, but that change. And that stability with Barrett, he's playing some good footy. You know,
he plays like Frizzell.
Yeah, and he has to. Valentini needs to be well and truly looked after. And then you put Hoskins Tutu and you say to him, You know, he doesn't need to go out there and really shine. Just do your core role, come off the back of the scrum and get well over that game line and try and get a little bit free. And I think that's where... I mean, the last thing we want to be doing, I think he's got to place all his bets on winning this first game and then going to your point, and then start to sort of make a few changes based on the Rugby World Cup.
I would go, so obviously Kirstie and I were together, are we? I'm going to ask you next. I would go.
I would go?
Yeah. I'd go Ioane. The reason being, I think Argentina bring a really, really physical, close contact game. I think Frizzell's been outstanding, don't disagree with you. But I think against Australia, both Hoskins and Akira have been outstanding because it's just not as tight or as physical, and we need players that are going to play wide, right? I think that, I don't disagree. I think Scott's an amazing athlete because he can play both. But I still think that Akira and Hoskins would bring something really special. It'd make Sam play a lot tighter, but you go those guys ranging out wide, I think it makes it a really, really attacking, dangerous. And I think the physicality would be enough.
You guys are all going to laugh at me when I bring this up, but we probably need to be serious about it for a moment. The All Blacks haven't won back-to-back tests this year. Are there any concerns? Is this the one Bledisloe that Australia could actually win for the first time since, what, 2004?
Where's the second test?
Yeah, Eden Park.
It's at Eden Park.
Are you concerned at all, though?
Oh, you've got to be wary. You've got to be wary of inconsistency, surely.
Well, look at how the championship has gone. I mean, the whole competition is pretty tight. And you're right, they haven't won back-to-back. And I think the consistency that the All Blacks have now is to keep that same team to try and build it and win the Bledisloe back. And I think they've got to be physical against the Australians. It's the one area that we've got to make sure we nail. We've got a really nice tight five, and I think that are building nicely. I think if we go to Melbourne and we start changing the team around in terms of the consistency that we've had in that last test, and we lose, I think Eden Park now becomes somewhere where Dave Brenner, he's very smart. This game in Melbourne is going to come down to how well both these teams prepare in terms of their tactics and what they want to sort of implement in the game. I'm worried that we don't go to Melbourne and win, then that sort of whole, mystique about Eden Park is going to be out the window, because they've shown in the past, the Wallabies, that they can beat us. Is this the Wallabies' best chance in a long time, Jeff?
Oh, no, are you buying into that?
They won a test in Perth, they dominated, and they came to New Zealand with a chance to win it, and they didn't perform. Yeah. They had two chances. So I look at this and go, I think the Wallabies are a different team, but they're just as inconsistent as we've been. I mean, they've been poor, and the fact that injuries have forced them to bring back Kurtley Beale into their environment, and don't get me wrong, experience does count for a lot, but they're still really unsettled in some key positions, namely first 5-8, and the experience you need to beat the All Blacks, and back-to-back, they need to win both test matches, JK, to beat us. I don't have the doubt they have the necessary ability. I just believe that if we don't build on what we've done, if we don't build on this last performance, I do have concerns, because we need to take another step forward, JK. We need, as a group, as a team, even without Ardie Savea and Shannon Frizzell, the group that have now prepared well, which Jason Ryan talked about, and perform, if they can't replicate that type of energy and put out another performance with the Bledisloe Cup on the line, I think we should be concerned.
Yeah, I think any great side needs to go through adversity. And I think that has the last 8 weeks been enough adversity, Mills? I don't know but I'm pretty sure it is, right?
For us, right?
For us, Ian Foster, the Rugby Public, that challenge, right?
86 lost in France, won the World Cup the next year. 2011, 2007, disastrous. And so my heart is hoping that we've turned a corner. I think the disruption of Frizzell and Savea is not a small one. It's the last thing that the selection team would have wanted, because they just started to really get into their rhythm. So that's not easy. I think the inconsistency is right across the board. Look at South Africa, amazing, inconsistent. So this seems to be the sort of call of this championship. But the Bledisloe Cup is another motivation. So I hope we've turned the corner, but I think we will see this this week. I think it'll be an incredibly close test match. I think Australia are showing some really good signs of how they want to play. They still haven't got that consistency, but I think this series will be a classic.
This is an interesting one. This is a midweek fixture, the first midweek Bledisloe since 1994. I'm not going to bring it up, Jeff.
The most ridiculous decision ever made.
Yeah, well, no one's talking about it because the AFL finals are on in Australia and the NRL grand finals. This is a midweeker. 53,000 are expected at Marvel Stadium, which has a retractable roof. It's supposed to be amazing, but no one's talking about this.
That is a concern when you think about where the Bledisloe Cup needs to get back to, Mills.
Yeah.
Where it hasn't been for so very, very long. And given the inconsistencies of the All Blacks, you would expect almost the Australian media to be backing their team to give themselves a chance to win. I'm not sure whether that helps us or hinders us. I don't really know.
It's a weird one, eh? But I can possibly see where they're going. From a marketing point of view, you know, the AFL finals are on, have that sort of midweek, and everyone comes to Melbourne. I mean, you know, that's great for the tourism of Australia. So, but I'm a traditionalist. I'd love to see it sort of, you know, be where it's at, you know, on a Saturday, whether it's in the afternoon or evening, and really pump it up. But I think from a marketing point of view, in terms of where they want to go with the tourism, it's a moneymaker. Everyone comes into Melbourne, they're spending all their money, and they're going. We might even get some AFL sort of fans, you know, turn up on the night. It's a fantastic place to play under the roof where they open it all night. It's a great stadium.
I think it's awesome. I think it's great. I like it. And Melbourne, the restaurants will be open, so you can go out afterwards. I just think it's different. I like it to be different. I think Melbourne is one of the greatest sporting cities in the world. They know how to host, and so I think it's just going to be an amazing week. Is it
the place that they've got the best chance to win?
I don't. I mean, does that matter anymore? Does it really matter anymore?
Well, it matters to them. Is it
no,
the
but
best
do
place
you
for
think
them?
it matters at the professional level?
Well, I'm just talking about. Well, if you're thinking about a feral crowd, you know, playing. I'm wondering whether playing in Sydney or whether playing up in Brisbane. You know, does that play into our hands playing in Brisbane? So many Kiwis live in Brisbane, right? Maybe that, and we've always had great support there.
I just don't know. I just don't think the modern professional, it would affect them. If anything, it should be like an added bonus for your motivation. I just don't think.
It matters.
I don't know.
Okay.
What, Mills, did you worry about playing in South Africa or?
I don't think it holds as much sort of importance as perhaps it used to, because the guys are so professional. I mean, regardless of whether the Wallabies feel they have the best bet of winning in Brisbane or Sydney or Melbourne, they'll be going out there and they would have focused the last couple of weeks on how they're going to, well, Dave Rennie in particular, how they're going to beat them. It doesn't matter what blade of grass they're going to be sitting on. It'll be more around there as opposed to, we're playing in Melbourne. It's not going to help you.
But I do think it's really good for the game and for our fans.
I'm only having you on because all I know what I'm going to face over the next